Alright, what is up guys, it's your boy Johnny West. In today's video, we're going to be going over K'Sante combos. For the most part, all these combos can be kind of intertwined throughout the game to be used in different ways. If it's going to be either to use to set up to peel your teammates, to help initiate or even initiate fights, or to just kind of get solo kills, or to even just help you escape certain sticky situations. You can use these combos in a bunch of different ways to essentially help outplay your opponents. Before we get into the video, I'd appreciate it if you guys took the time to leave a like down below and to subscribe to the channel if you're new. My goal is to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below. I'm going to be making way more K'Sante content. I'm editing all my videos myself, so it takes me a lot of time to get them out. I plan on getting an editor in the future, but I have a lot of things that I want to kind of put in place to help the whole process of me getting the files over to him. All right, and I will get back into the video. All right, guys. So this is maybe the third time that I'm trying to make this video. I didn't know that there's actually a time limit for practice tools, so it kind of threw me over. But after doing it a couple times, I kind of have everything in my head on what I kind of want to show you and teach you. To go over everything simply, I'm not going to get a bunch of extra cast time just because I want you guys to kind of have like a true feeling of what it's kind of like in the early game. And for the most part, you have an idea of like what to expect in terms of doing some of these combos. And I'm not going to level myself up anything past level 6, so I don't have that much extra bonus attack speed. So everything just feels and like maybe looks a little bit more concise for you guys. So generally speaking, K'Sante's main combo is either going to be Q auto or auto Q auto. Now, this really depends on the matchup, who you're playing against, the lane state. Essentially, you always want to either be doing Q auto, and if you can, try to min-max your distance with your auto attack. Obviously, from this distance, I can hit an auto. So I can Q auto, and I can also auto Q auto if I want to. If I were to do it like this, obviously, I can probably hit my Q from here, but I can't hit an auto from here. So I gotta take a step, right? And that can be the difference between like you clicking your character, moving a direction, Darius pulls you, you get killed, right? So like obviously you always want to be trying to min-max your distance as much as possible, but a lot of times you actually will be just trying to play max Q range in lane and just queuing people. Your Q does a lot of damage now, so just tagging people's Qs is an effective way of actually trading as well. But if you ever have an opportunity in which you can do an auto Q auto or someone message me an auto Q auto or a Q auto, I would try my best to do so. The next combo that I like to do in lane as K'Sante is the EQ auto, and that's what it looks like in your lane. Essentially, what that does, it allows you to actually trade within a creep wave in a very, very nice, timely fashion matter. And if you have a creep wave that is a little bit in your favor, or you just have a creep that you want to guard, it makes it hard. Essentially, it's the equivalent of you essentially poking people with Aatrox with your Q whenever they farm, except you kind of have to throw your whole body into it. What's cool about this combo is that you're able to actually prime Grasping the Undying a lot in lane. So let's say you're farming and you have a grasp stack that comes up. Oops, I ended up using the grasp stack like a noob. But let's say I get a grasp stack. Oops, I cancel my auto. But you see there, that did an extra 43 damage. Now I'm level 6, so it might not be that much like early into the game, but it does a lot of extra damage, and it also heals you back a significant amount of HP. So you always, whenever you're going to be going through these trades, if you can, try to do that with Grasp to maximize your damage. Sometimes you might not have a Grasp back, and that's fine, but if you can, that does a crazy amount of damage. If you want, doing that with Sheen also does a crazy amount of damage.
Survival is just the beginning.
So whenever you have your Sheen, you do a lot of extra damage, right? That's going to do 78 extra damage. These trades are just disgusting. And if you have sudden impact, as well in domination, that just it does a ridiculously stupid amount of damage. So it's really up to you to understand like which build you're gonna have, which runes you have, and how to play a lot. When I do Sudden Impact, I definitely like to go for Sheen in lane. If not, I don't. It's really up to you on how you want to play and like which playstyle you want to play. But this definitely is a very effective way to trade against almost anyone in lane that does a crazy amount of damage. I think that did 400 damage. So, and I didn't even have Sudden Impact. I just have Last Stand. So, you could easily deal like another 50 something damage with Sudden Impact if you were to have it. Another combo that I like to do with K'Sante, you can either do the EWQ or the EQW. Both work. It's kind of a mind game at that point on how you want to play it. But how it essentially works is that you can either do EQ auto W auto. You can do it shorter if you want. You don't necessarily have to wait as long as you want. And you can also skip the auto if you want completely. Oops, I didn't have my W up.
I am the Vanguard.
So that could also be a way to trade. That's good against champions that you know to have like CC abilities, or if you know that as soon as you jump, they might use an ability. That can be like used pretty well against like maybe Aatroxes sometimes. It might instantly W, and you can just kind of dash right through it if you charge it to the max. Darius's like to apprehend you when you jump in right away. So like if you know you play against a Darius who does like to apprehend as soon as you jump, using your W there is really good. What that does is that essentially you'll dodge his apprehend, and if he is the type of guy to instantly apprehend Q, you will juke the apprehend, and you generally will have enough speed to go and juke his Q too, unless he has like boots and he instantly ghosts and has phage. You know, like you gotta kind of gauge the situation, but that's one good trade that you can do. Another one could be the EWQ, which is also a really fun trade as well. Into the auto. You can do this short, you can do this long. It's really up to you to kind of gauge the situation. And that's what I find really cool about this new K'Sante kit, is that you do have the option to just 0.5 second cast your Pathmaker for a short trade like that, or you could actually go and like charge it even more, and you get the full 1.75 seconds, or even just 1.5 seconds, and that allows you to actually run away, and most champions will not have the time to actually trade back with you. I've actually secured kills because I've charged this up with my Q3, autoed, and then casted my Q, and then they flash in a straight line, and then my Q actually hit them. So like the extra like stun duration goes a very, very, very long way if you're ever able to actually get it. Generally speaking, in really bad matchups, auto Q auto it could be kind of greedy, so I would either just do Q auto. Q auto E is a pretty good one against some matchups too. Against Gwen's, champions, or Fiora's, that could be a good one if you have a creep that you can jump to, or even just juking out of a way for like, let's say you have a vital up here, or like you have a vital down down here. You could like dash downwards, and then like essentially she's gonna basically Q you over here, and then your vital will still be back behind you. So like guarding vitals could be pretty important, stuff like that, you know. But essentially what you would do is like you can Q auto and E to a creep, E to a creep, or just E away right away, and don't go for like any autos. This is really knowing when to auto, when not to auto is going to be important. Knowing when to min max is very, very, very important in certain matchups. And that's it for the most part. There aren't really that many laning crazy mechanics when it comes to K'Sante. I mean, you can also do the E-Auto. E-Auto is also a very effective way if you have Shield Bash to deal some damage. If you have a Grasp stack, always try to like prime your Grasp if you can. And you can even time it a little earlier. So by the time, like see I did it a little early, but just E-Auto with Shield Bash is also very strong, and you don't have to go for anything else. This one I like to do when I get level 2 advantage on some people. I would get my Grasp stack, or even just Shield Bash them. It's never bad. Boop. And it does like a really good amount of damage too, especially in the early game. Especially if you have Sudden Impact. If you have Sudden Impact, well obviously you need to go for the Q. Actually no, if you actually just have Sudden Impact, it's after your dash. So you just E-Auto is really, really, really strong early game. I was thinking of Cheap Shot for a second. but that could be like a very strong pattern as well. All right, so the next important thing when it comes to K'Sante is going to be lining up your abilities to get your ultimate to kill people. There are going to be a lot of different times depending on how the enemy plays. They are going to be putting themselves in specific positions. A position a lot of people like to play when they're playing against K'Sante is to play here. Obviously, they're not going to play directly next to the wall. They're going to be playing a lot over here, and you might have your creeps that are going to be kind of like in an arc like this, hitting the turret, and they're going to be trying to like farm these. And depending on how things go, you could either play very up, wait for them to try to go, like depending on the champion. Like if it's a champion like a Fiora or like a Riven, a lot of times they'll use their abilities, like their Qs, to farm. And that could be a angle for you to actually just sit on like a cannon and wait for them to try to go for like a, like let's say it's gonna be Riven. Riven's gonna go for like a Q to try to like Q onto the cannon. You can just sit on here, or even a little bit ahead of the cannon, because she might just go for like the Q3 dash away, or like she might even just like an E stun, like an E stun onto the cannon. But you could preemptively see that like when the cannon's about to die from the turret, you can just start charging your W. And let's say Riven gets even just this close to you, she might hit the cannon, and she might get the cannon, but then she obviously is in an angle to get ulted over the wall. And that's if you have the potential to kill her. If you don't, I wouldn't suggest it, but generally if you don't, you're probably playing over here, right? So whenever you are playing here, that would be your angle for a kill. And that could be like an easy setup. It's just an easy W push over the wall into a kill. Sometimes it's not that easy. Sometimes they play a lot, like sometimes the creeps are going to be closer to the turret. Sometimes they're going to be playing like maybe back here, really waiting as long as possible to even just soak EXP, and they'll play very respectfully. But your creeps are like here, like you have melees, right? You have melees that are just hitting the turret.
Those who don't respect me,
And she wants to go for these ones, but she's playing very far back and very safe. Now what I like to do sometimes is that whenever I get close to the turret, I would always want to have my Q3 stacked as much as possible. Now if she's over here, it might be a little hard to get a lineup, because you see where she got pushed over to the wall. She wasn't close enough for the turret to actually flip her to me over the wall. So she kind of just got cheesed to the side of the wall. If you're really good, you might be able to actually predict it. Really hard to predict this one, by the way. But you could do something like that and then potentially alter, obviously from the angle that you were at. So she would end up being here. If you want, let's say you do push her here, you could flash, alter all the way back over here. If you want to be fancy with it, it really depends on how you feel. But understanding like the angles and like really being able to like execute them consistently is what's going to be the most important part of getting success at this point of K'Sante. Right? So being able to consistently, like I miss my dash. And you see that right there, I just didn't aim my W properly. Oops. Right, I was kind of scuffed, but you get the idea, right? You get the idea of like from the positioning, trying to predict where the Q3 is going to make them land, depending on where they're positioning, because it's very finicky when it's like under this turret. Obviously, if they're right here, it's a little bit easier to actually like aim it, right? They end up coming like right over here. So just kind of positioning yourself, taking like a step to walk like it's an inch, W. Whoop. And you see how even just while you're on them, you're able to kind of take them. And then if you, like I said, you want to be fancy, you can either, if you get the max charge, what's great now is that with the max charge, 1.75 seconds, that gives you enough time to just walk. You can just take a couple steps and angle it. This angle is better than this angle, is better than this angle, is better than this angle, is better than this angle. This angle, unless it's like a champion that can jump to creeps, or they have like a lot of mobility, like bringing them like around here is going to be your best bet to actually chase them down for kills. Depending on the champion, let's say against Fiora, I like to drag them here because sometimes they ult you, and then if they have a vital, well, you're instantly blocking the vital here, so she can't actually kill you. It really depends on the matchup, but it's like I said, it's really up to you to figure out intricate ways of being able to outplay your opponents, to set up your ulti. You see how I missed it? And like, it's like very, very, very awkward to get yourself in this little corner. So sometimes just like EAing is just enough, right? Like sometimes like walking in here is hard. Like you kind of have to like click behind the turret to really get into this angle, because if you try to like walk up to it, you might click the turret, and like, you know, your obviously your auto attack range is different than walking here, right? Like you see. So it's really awkward. But sometimes just doing like a little E, get yourself in that little corner, flash ulting can be the difference between you actually getting the kill and not getting the kill. That's one way to set up. So it's the Q3 into the W. Sometimes just even EW, it could be something that's really interesting. Obviously, I misplaced my W there. But just like walking up behind them, EW behind them into an ultimate can be a way for you to do it. Not as easy as you'd think it is, though. Not as easy as you think. Sometimes cutting them off at an angle might be the move. Let's say someone's playing around over here. What you can do is start walking up kind of ahead of them. If it's a champion that doesn't have a lot of mobility or doesn't have a stun or anything that can kind of stop you from doing it, you could just kind of come up here and kind of aim your W in an angle that makes it hard for them to actually escape. And essentially what I mean by that is that if you don't have to max charge your W at this point to be able to get it, I could kind of like short cast it. You see how I just kind of let it go and it brought me all the way here. I didn't hold it for the whole duration. There was a lot of time for me to hold it, but I still got a lot of velocity on it. And this right here is even just enough for me to get an ulti over the wall. So it's the mind game and understanding the space that you need to actually kind of trap them in the direction so you can actually get them to where you want to go. Now, obviously, being able to land the full W saves you a lot of headaches in terms of having to flash for the angle or even dash for the angle. Especially now that your dash is a lot more important for actually securing kills, you don't always want to use it to try to get the angle on people. Sometimes you want to just be able to walk. So you could basically be like this. And let's say I get them down like this. This is okay, but this isn't like an okay angle. Like depending on where I'm facing at the end of it, I can either get like a goated angle, which is like right over here. And pretty much, in my opinion, this would be like a goated angle. This is like a decent angle right over here. If they have flash or like a little mobility, they can like kind of dash, flash. Camille can just jump back over. You know what I'm saying? Like you might not be able to secure your kills by bringing them here, and the difference of here. And then you might have to like E to ult, or you might flash ult. All right. So that's another way of setting up kills for K'Sante. So now when we're talking about actually setting up kills, we're going to be talking about of actually finishing off your kills, because that's something that might be a little hard for certain people, especially early game before you get Iceborne Gauntlet and other items, or people just kind of greed try to fight you. Once you climb the ranks, people, if they feel like they can't fight you, won't fight you and they won't run into you, or they'll just dodge your W in all out as a whole. Once you go all out with K'Sante, an important thing to do is to use a lot of your auto attacks as much as possible, especially as the game goes on, because as the game goes on and you get level 11 and your ulti levels up, you gain way more attack speed at level 11 and level 16. It would be cool if your all out lasted longer as you leveled up too. But anyways, so as you can see, your auto attacks do like a relatively decent amount of damage, but it's more about actually like faking out your Qs. Because what's going to happen is that a lot of people are going to essentially try their best to juke your Qs, because they know that you need to land your Qs to actually kill them, like for the most part. And your first instinct is always going to be to just like, okay, I ult. A lot of times you instantly Q, or maybe you auto Q to try to like min max. Stop doing that. Just ult and just start hitting them. Just start hitting them and see if they're juking. See if they're juking. And then while they're juking left to right, trying to juke your Q potentially, then you have the advantage because they're just taking damage for no reason. Then go for a Q auto. Boom. Auto attack, auto attack, auto attack. And just keep auto attacking. Auto attack, auto attack. Q, auto attack, auto attack, auto attack. Q, auto attack, auto attack. And if you have Iceborne Gauntlet, by the time you get like one of your Qs off, I can actually show this by TPing here, getting Iceborne, coming back. Oop. Right, already you have one Iceborne proc. Another Iceborne proc. At this point, it's really easy for you to line up your Q, and then you can also get a max charge W. And now, obviously, like your W with 1 point doesn't deal that much damage, but your W with items, we get some gold. Let's say you're at this stage in the game, actually deals a lot of damage, right? Like that's like you could basically one-shot someone. Like look at the DPS right there. What? Oh, actually, I think I maybe spammed it like a couple times, but yeah, you deal a lot of damage with it. So remember, auto, Q, auto, 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 Q, auto, 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 and then you can even just go for a QW because they're stunned and then they can't really juke it. And that could be like the difference between you actually landing your W and not landing your W, and you securing a kill. And that's it for the most part. In terms of other combos that you can do with K'Sante, I mean, a lot of them just kind of rely on you actually kind of just outplaying your opponents and finding creative ways to actually use your abilities to either set up your teammates, to fool your teammates, or to cause plays. But for the most part, that's what you're going to be doing for the most part. Another cool finisher that you can do, actually, before we finish the video off, is the EQWQ auto. Basically, like, you don't want to min-max all the time with K'Sante, especially now, because you don't have the extra bonus range on your attacks, and you might actually just lose a kill because you can't actually stick on someone. So the best thing that you could do is when you go all out, is to just set up your W with either the Q3, obviously, into the W, so you can't miss it, or against champions who you really can't stop you. Is just let's say, especially if you're from far, is just to go. You can land EQ into W into auto, or you can even do EQW Q auto. Obviously, like I have this on this. It's like reset it. And then you can even do like the Q3 to finish off with the auto to go for a finish. So it's really up to you to like figure out how you kind of want to play it. But I'd say for sure, start weaving in your autos, guys. Don't be afraid to just auto attack people. And to just use your auto attacks, reposition with your E, and really wait for opportune moments to use your Qs, because especially in the early to mid game, landing your abilities now is going to be even more important than before. So guys, that's it for the video. If there's anything that you feel like I've missed out below, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. For the most part, I'm pretty sure I went over everything. After that, for the most part, it's going to be like lining up your W's, lining up your ultis, and really like figuring out like the best ways to get some good ultimates off. But for the most part, in terms of combos, that's it for K'Sante. There aren't really any more combos you can do, or if there are other ones, they're super niche and they're really for specific matchups. But for the most part, that's kind of it. If you guys liked the video, leave a like. That scared me for a second. Holy shit! Yeah, leave a like down below, and let me know. Let me know what other types of videos you guys would want to see in terms of K'Sante. Now, if you learned a lot of these combos and like you kind of learned the spacing with your W to set up for your ultimate, you definitely will climb the ranks a lot more. And being able to really take people from like behind turrets and really get them into like a really nice angle can be the difference between you actually securing kills, denying people a lot of CS by stacking waves, and being able to really carry your games. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.